Hey everyone, welcome to your Defiance Daily Dispatch. I think that's what we say here. I'm Maritza Giorgio, co-host of the Grounded podcast with former Senator John Tester, and I'm in for Miles Taylor today. It's been a minute, but we have a lot to get to today, and I think a lot of what we're going to talk about today has to do with the word corruption. So I want to bring in Defiance co-founder and co-host Xander Schultz right now to kind of like get us into this. Hey, Xander, it's been a minute.
What's happening? I love that now the tradition is when you open the show, you like try to remember the name of the show.
Well, it's been a minute. I haven't been here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's so good to see you.
Your brain like overperforms. It's like, wait, is it Daily Defiance? Defiance Daily Defiant? Yeah. So anyway.
I love that your word for it is overperforming. My brain was just overperforming.
Well, if that's not, I'm not trying to sound like, an elitist. I'm just trying to say like, it's not that it's overperforming. It's just, it's going too fast and it's not working. How about that? Yeah. It's not working properly.
That sounds good.
Okay. So how you doing, Xander? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. I got my coffee ready. I'm ready to do this with you. Let's go.
All right, let's go. So here's the deal. We're going to talk about corruption. And we're going to talk about a topic that I am admittedly not really versed in because I don't understand it. But I think that's kind of the point. And that is something to do with cryptocurrency. You know more about cryptocurrency than I do. I'm certain of that.
I was in the heart of crypto world. My partner is one of the leading cryptocurrency investors in the world when I was building a lot of the pro-democracy infrastructure. I don't think a ton of them entirely. My partner definitely knew what he was talking about. I don't think a ton of the industry entirely knows what they're talking about either. You're not alone in not understanding that industry.
Yeah, so I know, and that's the thing. Like after watching Ben McKenzie's movie, everyone is lying to you for money and kind of trying to understand that a lot of people really are in the dark about this, and that's really part of what makes this story even more interesting because President Trump's cryptocurrency is now turning into a bank. And even worse, a direct path for the wealthiest amongst us to really curry favor with him, right? This pay-to-play mentality. But his children are really seeing a large chunk of the benefit here. Barron Trump, whose net worth is now $150 million. So is this little more than a bank account to channel profits through, like Barron's account? Is he profiting off of his father's presidency in the most obvious way possible? Just put it all out there. Meanwhile, I don't have to tell you this, Xander, the working class is suffering more than ever. We are seeing people who can't afford their gas, their grocery bills, their childcare, their rent, their mortgage, their utilities, their tuition. And Barron has really gone largely untouched by the media. He's the president's son, of course. He was a minor for a long time, but now he's an adult. So the question becomes, if he's old enough to be a crypto millionaire, not like 1 or 2 millions either, guys, like $150 million.
$150 million. By the way, he's been an adult for 2 years. So that's $75 million a year in his adult life.
Good point. Is he old enough to really become the focus here, to become the focus of these conversations and say, what the heck is going on here? So let's just talk about this kind of broadly, and we'll list some facts here and some bullet points, and then we can discuss this further. So we're going to talk about the World Liberty Financial Trust as a limited bank charter. So Trump and his family own 38% of this, and it's being led by a political appointee. The very interesting thing is, if I say to you, Xander, hey, Xander, you should deposit money into this bank. And you're going to say, what? What do I get out of it? What do you think you get out of it, Xander?
Get the ear of the president, it sounds like, in this particular bank.
Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Because under Trump's 2025 law, the bank cannot pay out any interest to people who deposit money. And it's really just a little way for the depositors to gain favor with the president, give the Trump family money to play with. So it works off of something called stablecoin, and that has a fixed value at $1 US. And it is then used to buy riskier crypto, such as Bitcoin, right? So As a charter, World Liberty would save money by allowing it to issue its stablecoin on its own rather than paying a third party or BitGo to do it. So here's the other really crazy thing about this bank. It doesn't actually do normal banking business. It's not issuing loans. It's not issuing mortgages. It's not issuing credit cards. So
it really narrows down why you would use them to one particular reason.
Yeah. And like, again, this stuff, I don't know. I'm probably more naive than a lot of people about this kind of thing. I just don't, my brain doesn't operate that way. I don't really understand it. But like, even when I was looking at high yield interest rate banks that I could deposit money into as interest rates are higher, I mean, it's so confusing. How do you trust what you're putting your money into? And this one's like, oh yeah, we're not even going to give you any interest back. We're going to get interest. We're not going to.
I'm pretty sure everyone who's depositing money in this bank knows exactly what they get for it. I don't think this is like a peer-to-peer, this is like a B2C bank where there's a lot of just normal people dropping off money, hoping to, I don't know, get favoritism on food stamps or something like that. There's a select few people that are moving tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars into the hands of the president and know beforehand exactly what they're getting by doing that.
So, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. And so for folks who are asking how this is chartered, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC, granted conditional approval for a national trust bank charter to World Liberty Trust Company. And so, here's the thing. Donald Trump his family is benefiting financially off of something that he's in charge of the regulations on.
Right.
The OCC is an extension of, we think it's an extension of the Treasury Department. Mercedes is checking that for us right now. I think back to Jimmy Carter.
I was just about to bring him up. I'm so happy you brought him up. His freaking peanut farm. This guy could have kept his peanut farm in different times.
Literally peanuts. Like that is not even like a joke. We like literally
peanuts, the metaphor for not a ton, for not a lot. Yeah. That's what Jimmy had to give up.
He put that into a blind trust to avoid any appearance of corruption, of conflict of interest. So this is just, there's a lot to talk about here. Here's the thing about Barron Trump. Now, again, he didn't ask for this life. He was the child of the president. He's 20 years old. And he's also making a whole lot of money right now. A whole lot of money. Most of his wealth comes from this bank, World Liberty Financial, based off an assumed 10% share. That's according to Forbes. And the $150 million is based off a 2025 analysis. That was last year. It means it could be much, much higher today. He's actually worth more than his mom, Melania, who is worth an estimated $20 million. The thing
was that from that documentary? That was also another type of bribery, right? Wasn't her big break the Amazon purchase of her documentary, which is another version of bribery for Melania? The whole thing is
the coins, right? What were those? Like she had a coin. I don't understand any of that.
Yeah, that's intentional. Look, this is a little bit reminiscent of when I was in criminal justice reform, when people first got in the space. They'd be like, this is so dumb. They could improve outcomes if they did X, Y, Z. And you had to explain to people, this is working as intended. The system wants to hoover up people and hold them for long periods of time because there's a profit incentive here. It's the same way here. This is by design. Trump, in the past, political corruption was usually, I'll make use of money because I want power. Trump and his family wanted power so they could make money. That is the goal here. They are stealing our money. And this is yet another version among how many have we covered, Maritza, of creative ways these folks are, stealing money, everything from their friends breaking the reflecting pool. And I'm sure another friend is going to be hired to fix it, to larger grifts like this, he created that, what was it, the Board of Peace with all those countries that are paying him $1 million to basically not be tariffed, which was eventually deemed illegal. He didn't even have the power to do that. But, and that bank account is being held somewhere offshore, if I remember correctly. This is the goal. This is what they're doing. I heard our friends right here. Julia and Amy Fields-Meyer. Right here. Oh, nice. Nice. I heard them speak in Portland at Powell's. And what Julia said is, look, fascism and authoritarianism is just a theft of two things. They're stealing your rights and they're stealing your money. That's all it is. And that was really helpful in me understanding both, all of the things that we're seeing in front of us. Just go back to those two things. Oh, they're stealing our rights and they're stealing our money. And this is the money piece of the equation. And
again, and not lost on me, the big news from yesterday, Xander, that the U.S. debt has now hit $40 trillion, but despite the president's promise of fiscal order and to reduce the debt. I mean, when he first campaigned in 2016, he said that he would eliminate the national debt within 8 years. And meanwhile, if we break down what normal Americans are experiencing right now, it's really, really not pretty. According to The Nation, 55% of Americans say their finances are worsening. It's the highest percentage since Gallup started asking that question in 2001. So think about what's happened since 2001, right? The 2008 collapse, COVID, all of these things that have really created financial hardship for this country. That means that more people feel financially pessimistic today than, again, they did during the pandemic or the Great Recession. Renting an apartment.
That's what they should. It's a completely rational. It's a completely rational response to what they're seeing and dealing with.
Renting an apartment, Xander, is 54% more expensive than it was in 2017. Housing prices are up 60% since 2019. Families will spend $120 more on electricity this year than they did last year. And credit card debt is up 63% since just 2021. Even if you go out and buy a single tomato, it's up 40 cents since last year. People are struggling. I talk about this all the time. I'm in all of these message boards and community groups on social media, and the amount of people asking for help to buy basic necessities, Tylenol for their sick child. I need dog food. I can't afford dog food. I spent all my money on my utilities this month and food for my kids, and I can't afford dog food. I can't afford my child's medication. I can't afford to put gas in my car to get to work tomorrow, and I don't get paid for 2 more weeks. Like, people are struggling everywhere. And so we're seeing this happen. We're seeing the rich get much, much richer. We are seeing our debt cross totally new territory. And meanwhile, we are also seeing the request for the ballroom and all of these other vanity projects happening in Washington, D.C. And it's really, it's really hard to see how so many people don't see that. And they don't connect those dots, that we are all paying way, 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 way more for everything we're doing.
Yeah. It's really a failure. Like, whenever I was kind of seeing these problems, I'm trying to think about how I'm failing too. It's a failure on all of us in terms of the people involved in political organizing, that we haven't made this case widely enough. And, we're letting it happen. Like, there's been past versions of this. We had the robber barons in the Gilded Ages. And, before there were unions, workers just decided to do things that then formed unions. And we haven't been able to animate enough of our country, to say we're not going to stand for this. I was talking to some leading groups today about what happens when we have a stolen election. And there's a real lack of confidence that we can orchestrate something like the general strike if need be and whatnot. And there is obviously criticism to be lobbed at these very bad people who are doing very bad things to our country. But there's also, I don't know. I feel like we're simultaneously aware of how bad things are. And then there's this cynicism that has crept in about our inability to change it, for us to organize and force them to change. And maybe this is, a success of their political project to divide us so effectively, or a failure of us to speak across the aisle more effectively, or just more broadly. But to get out of this, we are going to need Americans to build a muscle around demanding things change, because we are experiencing a grift at the same scale as the Gilded Ages, and we are losing our ability to fix it as our democracy is captured. And it's just a question that's on my mind all the time on what we could do better to build a movement that's able to demand change, not just ask for it politely.
I'm looking in the comments, and it's just heartbreaking to see how many people have dealt with this. People telling about how they've had to declare bankruptcy, their kids have had to declare bankruptcy, they're living off savings. People are struggling everywhere, really everywhere. And somebody was talking to me about the ballroom, and they said, well, you know, to be fair, like the state dinners, and they can't fit so many people in them, and they really do need a larger space for events. And I just kept thinking about what was the comment when, you know, the president's talking about how affordability is a hoax. And he said, you know, your kids don't need 37 dolls. They can just have 1 or 2 dolls. Just give them 1 or 2 dolls. Like, how many people out there are buying 37 dolls, right? And meanwhile, like, why can't you just have a smaller ballroom? Why can't you just like not make more money? How much money do people need? And it's kind of so interesting to me when you think about the fact that Barron Trump has never worked. He's never worked when he's worth all of this money right now.
Marie Antoinette, you said it before on this program. It's a Marie Antoinette moment. But I think the big question, I think what I'm trying to get at is, we are rightfully fired up about this. And could this be an accurate persuasion, for the MAGA movement? Can we make the case to these people? Not everyone's going to come along. I know we're going to talk about like the racism and the sexism that is part of that coalition, but that's not everyone. For the folks that are animated by affordability, for the folks that are animated by the careers. I mean, one thing, as you mentioned those very challenging things people are dealing with, Maritza, something unique about this moment is also the precariousness of work. People don't have careers. So it's not just, hey, I'm not making enough and I need to fight for more wages. I don't even have a career. I'm going from these like gig economy jobs to this other gig economy job. I'm working 3 of them part-time. And so it is on us, and I don't mean just me and you, I mean like this broader pro-democracy movement, to try to build this coalition, because we cannot get out of this. We cannot get out of this without Americans demanding for things to be differently. And the thing that I think a lot of them, that's key to that persuasion, is for them to see an opposition to Trump that they believe will take this shit seriously. And they've seen 2 political parties for some time not take it seriously. And that's the hole we're in right now. It's like, okay, not him, but who? I mean, I was going to show you this graphic. I'm going to pull it up right now. The lie that Republicans always sell, this is pre-Trump, on who's going to bring down the deficit. It's going to be small government. We're going to reduce spending. Look who brought the deficit the most. Our small government logo, Ronald Reagan. It's been a lie for some time, way before Trump got in there, that these political groups are going to fight for you. And so it's a real bind we're in that, in terms of like, okay, not his team, but whose team? Who are you with? And maybe that's on us. Maybe it's the unofficial spokespeople like us that are opening the door a little wider and saying, we see your pain. We know it's bullshit, and we're going to fight against all of them. We're going to fight against corruption across the platform. But there's a lot of people who need to hear that and find some movement, whether it's official or unofficial, where they believe people are going to fight for them.
And I'll just say, when you think about just corruption in a more broad term, right? And you think about the money in politics. It's the money in politics, the huge amounts of money in corporate PACs and all of the dark money that is keeping so many lawmakers from working together, because they're pushing extreme candidates in the primaries, and they're pushing for their interests. And so the money in politics is actually keeping lawmakers across the political spectrum from joining together and doing something about it. And you see it right now. If there's any defection from Trump's will and what he wants, you see those Republican members of either the House or the Senate get primaried, and they're out of there. There's so much that can be done. And it really is a matter of we the people saying enough. Like, we cannot continue to go on like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to say, look, to a certain extent, Miles and I forming an organization together is part of trying to address that. Two very different ideologically different people that are asking people to come together, give some money together, and see if we can solve this together in so many ways. And so I just want to, I was looking through the comments here. I just want to thank everyone who is a paying member to this, despite times being really freaking hard. I mean, this country, the progress in this country is often built by union members and church group members who didn't have a ton of money, pooling their money together to make this country a better place, to fight back against greed and inequality. And so you all are, the latest addition to that fight. And we're so grateful you're in it with us.
Absolutely. Another thing contributing to costs right now, soaring costs, is the war in Iran. So let's talk about this.
Yeah, but we need to do that. Come on, Maritza. We need to go to Iran. You know that.
Yeah, sorry.
For what
again? Forgot.
We're doing it.
Silly me, I forgot. Oh, serenity now. Okay. While the president tells the American people that Iran is our enemy, and of course, nobody's saying that Iran has been, a great player in the world. There's been a lot that Iran has done as a country, right? And there's been a lot of oppression, and there's been a lot of state-sponsored terrorism and all of that. We're not saying that, Iran is this really great player in the world.
I will say we might have fucked with them a little bit too. Like killing their president. Like twice, Mossadegh, and now Ayatollah.
This is not cut and dry. Okay, this goes back. There's a reason this has been going on for almost 5 decades. Okay, so while Trump tells Americans that Iran is our enemy, he claims this war is about liberating the Iranian people. Newly released emails show that his administration was quietly working with the Iranian government to send people back to Iran. Let's check in with Face the Nation. They get into it.
So the emails do in fact reveal that there was some degree of coordination between ICE here in the U.S. and officials in Tehran over deportations of Iranian nationals and immigrants last year, even amid the increased tensions between the U.S. and Iran. The emails appear to indicate, Mugo, that Iranian officials in the U.S. and in Tehran had some input into who could be placed on deportation flights from the U.S. And that, of course, Mugo, raises a whole host of questions about the safety of deportees who, as you rightly noted, could be asylum seekers fleeing persecution by the repressive regime in Tehran. The messages also show that the deportation of Iranians became a priority for the White House in June of 2025, with emails showing that the head of ICE and other agency leaders were urging officials at the time to move quickly to deport Iranian nationals with deportation orders. That push prompted some officials at ICE and the State Department to note that it was very difficult at the time to deport anyone to Iran, since at the time Tehran was not issuing travel documents and the airspace was actually closed, Mugo, because of the conflict with the U.S. Now, ultimately, 3 deportation flights with Iranian deportees made it out of the U.S. after that deportation push by the White House before the ongoing war with Iran broke out effectively this year. In one case, according to the emails, Muga, one person was deported despite the fact that they were not on the flight manifest.
There's a lot of sighing from you today, Maritza.
Sorry.
You're feeling it. It's all right. It's a very normal response.
Well, here's why.
Shitty news all around. Go ahead.
Here's why. Yeah. I just cannot imagine, whether you're talking about Iran, whether you're talking about someone from Haiti, whether you were talking about someone from Venezuela, other countries where there is a genuine fear about what your life looks like if you go back and you come to the United States of America, because that's your best option, sometimes illegally. You come in without documentation, and that's your best option. And we are going to send you back to the place where the president is saying it's so awful. We're going to liberate everybody there because of how badly this government treats their own people. And we're going to actually send you back there. It just seems really cruel. So there's a lot of sighing for me, because I just think about, for every story like this, and we talk about, people on planes, right? I mean, how many, I missed the number of Iranians. I think it was 100. And,
Yep.
For all of those people, every person has a story, and family members and personal lives and conflicts and challenges that, just like all of us, like, the fear is just, I just can't even imagine. So they were detained Iranians have said that they were forced to meet with Iranian government officials who knew all these details about their asylum claims.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it
Mm-hmm.
just seems like we've done them real dirty.
We also violated international law, where we signed both treaties in the UN. I worked in the refugee space for some time. Someone has a legitimate fear for their life in being returned to a country, whether for religious reasons or political reasons, you're not supposed to be able to return them. It's literally illegal. It just goes to show you how much leverage Iran has on the Trump administration right now. That this went from, at least narrative wise, a traditional military excuse by the United States of being pro-democracy and being with the people and being about liberation, which is, many times has been bullshit before, but at least it sounds good, to, I don't know. I don't know. This is just, please, how do we make it stop? What can we give you? We'll give you your political enemies. You can tax the Strait of Hormuz. How do we get out of here? We've walked into a room we don't know how to leave, and we're begging you, please let us get out of this thing.
What's the offer?
Yeah. Just another, and they, this does so much damage to us in terms of all of our international relationships and our general posture. I don't know who's going to be intimidated by,
and the soft diplomacy
getting into a tussle with the U.S. And the soft diplomacy is dead.
Right.
I mean, one of your best and most effective strategies when you are trying to take on political foes is to work with their internal political opposition and try to help them gain power internally and trying to support them in many ways. And so we can't do that work anymore. No political opposition in Iran would ever trust us. We literally hand them over back to the Iranian government. Yeah. And so that, which is by far the most effective strategy when you're trying to regime change, it is just it's quietly supporting the political opposition. That's gone in Iran moving forward, I have to assume.
Well, and it's being reported that ICE staff pushed back on this and pushed back on the logistics. And basically they were told by leadership, find a way forward. This is a priority. Yep. Yep. And so, there's just, we've talked about this a lot, Xander, with your work, building refugee camps and helping refugees all over the world, and just the desperation that people are in. I think about also the Afghani families who came here after we withdrew, and now there's so much fear in that community. They helped the United States military, and now they live in fear here that they might be sent back. And if they do, they're certainly not safe.
That's a good point. It's not just the option of working internally, quietly working internally, is not just off the table in Iran. Why would you work with us, period? If you're anywhere where we're trying to create an opposition or trying to support an opposition effort to a government that we're at odds with, I don't know why. They now know when the going gets bad, we'll flip on you. If we need something, we'll flip on you. Okay. Now we need to move on.
Let's move on. Let's go to Minnesota. We were talking about ICE. So Minnesota is now suing the state of Texas. They're trying to force Governor Greg Abbott to extradite ICE agent Christian Castro back to Minnesota, where he faces charges for allegedly shooting a man through the front door of his Minneapolis home and then falsely accusing that man of attacking an ICE officer. This happened during that Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis, which also included the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy there. So Castro, this ICE officer, was arrested in Texas months ago, okay? Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota formally requested him to be extradited in early June. More than 2 months later now, Governor Greg Abbott still has not approved this. There's a clock ticking here too, because Texas law actually limits how long Castro can be held without that extradition warrant. That means he could soon just be released. Now, Hennepin County Attorney, where I grew up in Hennepin County, Minnesota, Mary Moriarty, she joins us now, and she's going to break down why this normally very routine process has turned into a very political legal fight between two states. So we want to welcome back to Defiance Daily, Mary Moriarty. Thanks for being with us, Mary.
Can't hear.
You can't hear us.
Oh, no. Marisa, quickly, sign
Can you
language.
hear me? Because I can't
I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
I can't hear.
All right.
Okay.
Go out,
Mercedes?
come back in. Is that sign for go out, come back in? Leave, come back.
Go away, come back in. Oh boy. Oh, okay.
Does that work?
Hey, look at us.
All right. We'll
Hopefully
give
that
Mary
works.
a
We'll see.
second. It's always so great to have Mary here. She's been kicking ass for some time in this
I
fight.
know. So let's see if I think Mercedes is on this. She's trying to get her to leave. We'll just continue talking about this. So, this is Minnesota really has been kind of ground zero for so much of this. Not only Operation Metro Surge, but then pushing back so much. I mean, not only from the resistance, but from folks like Mary Moriarty and the governor and the attorney general there saying, no, this isn't how we play here.
Yeah. It's kind of incredible, actually, over the last decade, right? Also, like the George Floyd BLM stuff kind of kicked off in Minnesota. What do you think it is about Minnesota? Is it these things happen everywhere, but Minnesotans, what's the word? Minnesotans just take less shit. They just turn out numbers, more strongly than other places. What do you attribute to Minneapolis being the, hotbed for so many of these social issues?
I have a lot of thoughts about this, and we'll say it in my native Minnesota accent, which is
please turn it up. Turn the accent
The Minnesotans are very engaged, Xander, because first of all, they care so much about education. My public education in Minnesota and St. Louis Park, Minnesota was just outstanding, right? Like wow. I only had a couple of college courses that I felt were harder than the courses I took my senior year of high school at a public high school in St. Louis Park, Minnesota. So that's one thing. It's a very educated population. It's a very engaged population. Huge voter turnout numbers every single election. People care. People care about their community. There's just so much togetherness and really they look out for one another. Now, also, George Floyd highlighted a lot of shortcomings that we had, right? And since then, I think a lot of communities really took notice and said, no, we are not gonna let those shortcomings define us any longer. We're gonna do something about it. And a lot of the resistance members in Minnesota who I talked to during Operation Metro Surge, who were organizing, on Signal and packing frozen corn into baggies in a Lutheran church basement to hand out to families. They said that they organized back when George Floyd was killed because they saw the shortcomings and they saw what needed to be done. And so they were ready this time. So I think that's part of it. Yeah. And people in the comments are saying Nordic ancestry, a lot of culture, community. Yes, absolutely. That's part of it. Back? Mary's back.
All right, Mary. Can you hear us this time?
Hi.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Good to see you, Mary. No worries. Yeah.
That's just nice technology, Mary. We were just talking about why Minnesota continues to find itself in this place of trailblazing and fighting back and pushing back. Do you have any thoughts about that before we get into this extradition?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of that, and it did start even before George Floyd.
I lost her audio.
Oh no, I lost her audio too.
Mary, we don't have your audio now.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, she's coming back.
How's that?
No. Did your cord come unplugged maybe?
No.
Oh yeah, there you are.
You're back.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
The
Okay.
world's weirdest connection.
Don't
Go
move,
ahead,
Mary.
Mary.
Don't move.
I'm not going to move. I'm not going to move. Yeah, I don't know when I disappeared, but there's actually a really good book. I'm almost all the way through by Justin Ellis called The Cruelty of Nice Folks. And it does actually, it tracks through George Floyd and MetroSurge, but it also talks about some of the factors. It talks about why we still have some of the highest racial disparities in the country. That's kind of an aside, but yeah, I mean, the people came together here for community mutual aid in ways that I think nobody will ever really know, how much of that happened. It was pretty remarkable and inspirational.
Yeah, it really was. So Mary, I want to start. We just kind of like went over this lawsuit to extradite this ICE agent Christian Castro back to Minnesota. So I guess I'm wondering if you can kind of just walk us through that, start from the beginning, because of course this is confusing. It's like cross-jurisdictional, it's local versus federal, all of that. So Christian Castro is charged in Minnesota. He was arrested in Texas. Minnesota's been trying to get him back. So what's happening and what should be happening?
Right. I think it's really helpful for people to understand the word extradition is actually in the Constitution. And what it says is that if you commit a crime in state A and you go to state B, that state A can file the correct paperwork and ask the governor of state B to bring that person back or allow state A to come and pick them up and bring them back. There is absolutely no discretion here. Governor Abbott has no discretion. This is just supposed to be administrative. The Supreme Court was very clear about that in 1987. So essentially, we did file the appropriate paperwork. And I have to tell you, this happens hundreds of times every day, thousands of times. This is just how one state gets somebody back when they feel that they've committed a crime. So we filed that appropriate paperwork. Some helpful context here. That the Texas governor got that paperwork, I believe it was on June 3rd. Since June 3rd, Governor Abbott has signed 3 other extradition requests by Minnesota. So he's signed signed off on 3 people that Minnesota wanted to get back here since Christian Castro has sat in jail. We also pulled the data. And Governor Abbott typically signs off on extradition in about 30 days. Our governor, Governor Walz, does it in about 5 days. So we are coming up on 90 days here. And I sent a letter to Governor Abbott because we wanted to make sure he knew about this particular case and it wasn't just it didn't, get hidden in the paperwork or something. And we have never heard about it. So we were coming up to a Texas statute that would allow Castro to be released from the jail on August 27th. And so our last remedy here was to file a lawsuit against Abbott in Texas District Court.
But you haven't, I'm going to let Xander go, but you haven't heard anything from them, any explanation as to like what the holdup is?
Not directly, but we've seen Abbott give, I think it looked as though he was at some kind of signing of something or another, and he was asked about it, and his response was, I don't trust Tim Walz, and something about fraud. And of course, that makes no sense whatsoever because he has signed off on 3 cases.
Sure.
And it's also just not discretionary. It cannot be based on somebody's governor's political whatever at that time. I also saw an interview that he did, I think today or yesterday, and now he's claiming that there are 4 elements to extradition. 3 of them are met, they're mandatory. He claims that the last one is that the person has to be a fugitive, and he has ordered an investigation into whether Christian Castro is a fugitive. This is also a non-issue. I can't emphasize enough how average extradition is, how it happens all the time. It's just paperwork, and there's absolutely no discretion on behalf of the governor.
Well, let's skip ahead to where we are today. Now you have to go through what I assume is this extraordinary step in suing for extradition. Just how unusual is this, and what is the failsafe if Abbott continues to refuse?
It's extremely unusual because this is just a matter of paperwork. And it doesn't come up very often in cases because nobody has to litigate it.
Right.
I want you to think about this. Imagine if we lived in a country where somebody could commit a crime in one state and just, hide out in another state, and hoping that the governor there didn't like the governor or something about another state. I mean, this is just chaos. I mean, that's why it's in the Constitution. And so it's highly unusual that we had to take the step of suing. We do now have a hearing set up in Texas on Tuesday at 1:00. And that is the day before Castro is set to be released. So we have asked the governor for or the district court for two things. One is to order the jail not to release Castro, and the other is to order Abbott to sign the paperwork.
Mary,
Wow.
I mean, I remember when you were on, I don't know if it was last time because I fill in on the show kind of intermittently, but you were on with us and, you were really, again, you were a trailblazer in actually even bringing charges, because normally wouldn't this kind of be handled by the federal government since it was an ICE officer, like an internal investigation? Have you received any kind of pushback from the feds on this case? As far as, this is our jurisdiction?
We have received that since this happened. And I will say this is the second in that series of 3 shootings. Julio Sosa Solis is being shot in the leg was bookended by the killing of Renee Good and then Alex Preddy. And in all of those cases, the federal government blocked our own state law enforcement agency from investigating the scene. The reason we were able to charge Castro so quickly compared to the other cases was that there was a large crowd outside of the house where Mr. Castro was. It was very hostile towards federal agents, and so they left. And that allowed the BCA to collect the evidence that was needed for us to be able to charge that case. But they have pretty much resisted every step of the way, which required us, as you know, to file a lawsuit in Washington, D.C., asking the district court there to order the federal government to give us the evidence. Now, locally, we've been able to do some evidence sharing here. I think it's been, I don't have personal knowledge of what's happening between the U.S. Attorney's Office here and the administration or the White House or anything like that. But we did get some of the evidence. We're currently looking through all of that. But this is unprecedented. And to your question, too, what we would expect in a situation where a community member was shot and certainly shot and killed is that there would be an internal investigation into whether policies were followed and whether criminal charges would be appropriate. So it would be two different types of inquiries. And certainly from the beginning, they were referring to Alex Preddy and Renee Good as domestic terrorists. And if you'll recall, they actually charged Julio Sosa Solis and another man with assaulting Christian Castro because he actually lied and said that he was defending himself. When the video came out of what happened, the U.S. Attorney's Office dismissed the case and acknowledged that Christian Castro had lied under oath.
So just a really quick follow-up to that, because Minnesota investigators couldn't get to the crime scenes of Renee Good and Alex Preddy right away, that's why we haven't seen any charges come forward in those 2 killings.
Well, so we didn't have the evidence. We now have Renee Good's car. The U.S. Attorney's Office has shared a lot of the evidence. It's extremely voluminous. We didn't know this before, and you may have seen this reported that the federal agents who were interacting with Alex Preddy were wearing body cam, but we only knew that was being reported through the media. We had no idea whether that was true or not. It is true. Many of them were wearing body cams, so we have that information, and our team has been going through that. And so I feel as though we're in good shape to be able to make a decision on that case. We've been going through the evidence in that case first. I never promise anybody when that decision might be because I don't want to raise people's expectations, but I feel pretty good about the fact that we have what we need to be able to make a charging decision.
Mary, I want to, while we have you, I want to switch topics here and talk about, yesterday we talked to the community about preparing for the midterms and we gave them action steps. One thing on a lot of people's mind is voter intimidation, these ICE agents potentially being at the polls. And I think it's foggy. There's a lot of people who want to make sure their community members feel safe voting and to stand up against lawlessness by federal officers. But it's a little bit foggy on when they're behaving badly and when they're behaving lawlessly. I know FAFO has been thinking about this question, you and the other DAs. Can you talk a little bit about what we can expect and what we should look out for and what we should do when it comes to voter intimidation at the polls?
So that's something I can speak to, because we just went through our primaries here in Minnesota, and we did a lot of preparation, and so that we could make sure that we had communicated with our Secretary of State. And as a county attorney, I am also we also have a civil division here that represents the election department. And so we did an extensive amount of work to find out what judges were being told and to ask them what they needed from us. Ultimately, we put out a statement saying that we would investigate and hold accountable anybody who tried to intimidate voters. But we also learned, or we received a request, as did another county, federal monitor. The Department of Justice asked if federal monitors could come into the polling places. And we declined and said, no, you may not. That left them in the position of being just like any other community member or anything like that. They could stand 100 feet away from the polling place. We put out a one-page document before the primary to let people know that, yes, there would be some federal monitors there. They would be dressed in plain clothes. And here's a list of what they are allowed to do and not allowed to do. Yeah. And we made sure everybody knew, somebody may say to you, I'm from the Department of Justice or the U.S. Attorney's Office. Can I talk to you? You have every right to say no. So these people have no additional authority or rights any more than any other person who is there to watch the polling place. And fortunately, we didn't have any incidents here, but I feel very confident that we are prepared and have thought through what we would do. We made sure that we had a judge available in state court and federal court in case we needed an avenue to file some kind of relief in court. We talked to local law enforcement to make sure that we were all on the same page, that if there was some kind of interference or harassment, that they would be prepared to respond. So I feel we were in very good shape. And I did meet with a group of people who are concerned community members about how we're protecting elections, and said to them, sometimes communication for the county attorney's office is not necessarily desirable, but what do you need from us? What can we do to help you assure voters that everyone, no matter who you're going to vote for, we all want fair and safe and democratic elections. And so we intend to continue on our messaging and preparation so that we're ready to go in November.
I do have a follow-up question to put a fine point on that. I've had so many people ask me this. Okay, well, what if I'm at a polling place and I do see this? What if I I live in Montana, Mary. I'm from St. Louis Park, though, Hennepin County proud. And, what if you're in a red state and you see this? Who should you call? What should you do if you see something that you don't think should be happening?
I could say the answer in Minnesota because Minnesota has safe elections. We have the highest voter turnout. Our election judges are trained very well to know who to call in a situation like that. It is harder if you're in a state where that isn't happening and where we certainly see measures to try to prevent voters from voting, limiting polling places and, the states that have criminalized people who are trying to give water to people who are standing in line. Yeah. So I can't say the local DA necessarily. I think what I would say to people is especially band together and approach the DA, approach the local law enforcement, make sure that they understand the importance of voting. And I can't guarantee that they'll get a positive response, but at least try to make people aware of, hey, and ask questions. What should we do if somebody shows up here? engage your election judges and the people are responsible for elections, whether it's city or county or state, the Secretary of State, and really try to find somebody. And I, no matter what party you're in, one would hope that we want everybody's vote to count. I know that's not necessarily true, but anybody who is eligible to vote, we should all want that person's vote to count. That's what democracy is.
Sure.
And when you start limiting that, that's when you get authoritarianism.
Mary, one thing I'm hearing within that answer, I know we got to go soon, but one thing I'm hearing is there's a need to, from now until Election Day, organize these types of elected officials. It's not something to do on Election Day. Organize them now to show up for you. And I'm curious, one, we need to expand the amount of DAs that are on board with this and to pressure DAs to join FAFO and be ready. What are the other important local officials? Like, I've been thinking about police and sheriff for a while now, and their mandate, they're funded by the local government. They're supposed to protect their community from law breaking, no matter who's breaking that law. It doesn't feel like, from the outside looking in, I'm speaking, without real certain knowledge on this, it doesn't feel like we've necessarily won over the police departments to be a wall between us and federal overreach, where they can be. Like, who else, what other groups of leaders should we be organizing and preparing to step in and be our champions and our advocates and our protectors heading into Election Day?
I'm going to say that I think there's a slight difference, and I might be being too optimistic about this, but a slight difference between elections or asking law enforcement or people to intervene in elections and asking them to intervene when federal agents are committing unlawful acts.
Sure.
I would hope there's a convincing argument to everyone that, hey, we want people to cast their votes. Isn't that what, we're supposed to be a democracy? We're supposed to want people to vote. And then approaching city council presidents, city council members, all your elected officials, county commissioners, all those people who were elected, and approaching them and saying, hey, we want to make sure we have free and democratic elections. What measures do you have in place to make sure that that happens? Here we are fortunate to have a community that will show up. And one of our issues, which I don't think is probably an issue in a lot of other places, was having those discussions with our community members about, hey, we know you want to show up to make sure people can vote, but we want to make sure you're not showing up in big groups that intimidate people from voting. And really talking to them about, here's the educational piece you can do about how people should or can vote early or get a ride to their polling place. But in places where those groups may not exist, trying to grow those groups the way you saw in Minnesota that will show up and bear witness. And actually, they're the people that vote your electeds in and can put pressure on people to say, hey, we want to make sure our polling place is safe. We don't want anyone to be intimidated. What are you doing to make sure that that doesn't happen? And if it is happening on Election Day, can we count on you? Can we call you? Or, will you try to file a lawsuit? I mean, there are a number of different avenues. So I would say trying those options right now are critically important, because if we wait until Election Day, it's probably going to be too late.
Thank you for that.
I think I would add one thing too that just kind of popped into my head. Imagine that. I think if you don't know who to call, or you maybe don't know if your local authorities would be responsive, call local newsrooms. Call the nearest newspaper, call the TV stations you listen to, call your local public radio station, because that will get attention and they will ask questions about it. So I'll plug that too.
I think that's a great idea.
Right on. Well, Mary, thank you. Not only for your work, obviously you've been a hero in this moment, but as in the Defiance community, you're really a hero for us. We are so proud to seed FAFO and for you to be a founding member of it. And it's been so cool seeing that take off and you all really stepping up in this moment in a way I think we hoped a lot of different officials would, but you all have really been taking the lead and modeling what leadership in this moment looks like for all of us. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thanks,
Mary.
Mary.
Have
Take
a good
care.
one. All right. Down the home stretch we go.
Leading the way.
I
Love
know,
it.
dude. Mary's great.
So great. Okay, so It's that time to talk about who is joining the Defiance Xander. So oftentimes in this segment, we highlight a lot of folks who, defy openly without hesitation. They broadcast it loudly. Sometimes, though, it isn't always a luxury that people have. The risk can just be too much. For instance, if you have a government contract, you can't simply just hit the streets in opposition. That could be bad. That could be bad for business. It's much trickier than that. However, those contracts do eventually end. And for one Army soldier who served 14 years, that day finally came. Let's take a look.
So today is my last day wearing this uniform, and I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, fuck Donald Trump.
I didn't know exactly what he was going to say. I was ready for a speech. It was a much simpler message than I was ready for.
Inspiring messages come in many sizes, many lengths there. Soldier Patrick Kaiser, welcome to the Defiance. There's a rap song too by that same title.
Yeah. No notes for Patrick. That was well said, Patrick. We many of us feel that way, and it's always great seeing people of every stripe share that message, especially sometimes in unlikely forms like a soldier. But it lets you know, we were just reporting on that ICE agent that killed someone, had a Latino name. There's so many normal people within these institutions, or people from different backgrounds. It's not as simple as, just an ideological war, oftentimes, and simple foot soldiers. And so we should never stop. I mean, maybe I'm like feeling this theme a lot today, I guess. We should never stop reaching out. We should never give up on folks. We should keep reaching out, keep talking to them, keep listening to them as well. This is the ball game. I feel like we're 30 seconds left, balls in Kobe's hand. Like, this is the work that we have to do. Our Kobe moment is continuing to talk to everyone, even though it's challenging, continuing to listen to everyone and trying to build a healthier political and civic environment in this country. And so anyways, it was wonderful. Patrick sharing his message in his voice, as simple as it was.
So do we have any questions? Are we doing questions today?
We can do some Q&A. Maritza, you and I are pros. We end a couple minutes early. Oh, we have some promotions on the Anthill before we get to it. Oh, promotions on the Anthill, the DeFiance. Who was helping grow our Anthill today? Oh, we've got lots of promotions. Let's go. JF Reardon, Anita W, Max K, Kariko, and Minor, all getting promoted to the rank of Scout. That means they brought one friend into the Defiance. That's how it works, gang. If we all bring one, we double up. Bring one a month, we double up every month. So thank you for your work building this. This is your club, as we always say. If you want to get your referral code, go to defiance.news/leaderboard. You'll be able to copy your referral code and then send it to, I don't know, Maritza, who's your prompt today? Who should they send it to today? Grab your referral code and send it to an old coworker. Let's do that. Send it to a coworker that you haven't connected with for a while. Use it as a moment to reconnect and then organize them into this thing.
But only if it's a coworker who you ended on good terms with. If they're like, no, not that guy.
I like to stir it up. My prompt last time was an X. Send it over to an X and see how it goes.
You want people to join, right? Like,
I want people to have a good time in life too. A little chaos is fun.
How about
all right,
a friend from school that you haven't talked to in a while? You haven't, touched base. Maybe you've been off Facebook with them for a while.
There you go. That's a nice one. That's an easier one. Beth G says, I've been trying to wrangle a statement from our local sheriff who has assisted ICE and does not like us libs. How can we make them do the right thing? That is a great question. I've actually been working on a sheriff organizing project similar to FAFO. I didn't start it, to be clear, different than FAFO in the sense that I started, but I'm really hoping they become one of our missions coming here in the coming weeks. And so not to hide the ball on that answer, I'm actually talking to them tomorrow about exactly what they're doing to organize sheriffs and what sheriffs can do to fight back against federal overreach. So Beth G, stay tuned. Hopefully that is a Defiance mission in the coming weeks. I'll put the link to their broader project in the chat here if I can find it. Yeah. And Deborah J says, are any red states in FAFO? Well, FAFO is on the county level, right? DAs are county, district attorneys are county elected officials, but many of the members of FAFO are in red states. Many are in or purple. In Virginia, we had a Dallas DA. In Texas, we have the Austin DA in Texas as well. And those are just the founding members who I know off the top of my head. There's been a lot of other DAs that have since joined since founding. But yes, there is. It's really cities all over the country, counties all over the country that we're trying to be, have be a part of this coalition. Jenny Bloom says,
my dog barking, guys. Sorry.
No, it was nice background noise. I thought it was nice. It was thematic. She was feeling the spirit of the movement of the Defiant. Jenny Bloom says, is there a book club starting up? I've been offline for mental wellness. I hear that. Nice. I was camping also recently. It does help being offline. Maritza's a pro at being out in nature. Really. What'd you call yourself the other day? Not Pocahontas. Who's the Disney character?
Snow White. I'm Snow White.
Snow White. Maritza knows how to get out and get well.
I have all my animals. I love my animals. I love to touch grass. I love nature. I love looking for mushrooms in the woods. Morels, not that kind of mushroom, guys.
Or that kind. I don't mind either kind. There is a book club starting up soon. Our new teammate Melissa is leading on that, so we'll have deets soon. I would love that, if only to give myself a little pressure to not doom scroll as the last thing I do at night and to finish the book alongside with you. It's really a 50-50 toss-up if I go doom scroll or get some good reading in. And I'd like to move that more to 100% reading. So yes, that's a great idea. Yeah. All right, gang. That's it. 3:02. 2 minutes over. We're doing great. I want to plug before we go, my friend Maritza's podcast. Do I call it a podcast? What do I call it? A channel?
I don't know. Yeah.
Grounded. It's in the name, Grounded Podcast. If you're not subscribed, it started
as a podcast and now it's kind of more of a Substack show. But.
It's morphed into a bigger operation. Follow it. Usually this is time where Miles makes some sort of threat if you don't follow it. I'm not going to do that to you today.
No threat.
but you should do it. We recommend it because it's additive to your life. They have a bunch of great guests. She has an awesome teammate and former Senator John Tester. It's really, really worth listening to. I was checking out some of your content today, actually.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh,
I figured out, I think, how to manage my ADD, which is like, I need to have people talking. So I check in on the screen and then work a little bit. That's been working for me lately.
We had former FBI counterintelligence deputy Frank Figluzzi on this morning talking about all kinds of national security stuff. It was a really great conversation. Scary a little bit, but a really great conversation.
But also
on Wednesday, I'll plug. We have Rahm Emanuel coming on Wednesday, so that conversation either.
All right, yeah, I'd love to hear what he's thinking of this moment. All right, gang, thank you so much. As we stay here when we sign off, which I clearly have memorized now. Stay loud, stay brave, and stay together. We'll see you tomorrow.